0 out of 10 for the winter vibe.
Thank you, that was a good sniff.
Things escalated very quickly. Do you know anything about free diving? Because I sure don't. Why does this feel so like 2010s Hot Topic Happy Bunny coded? One word, snowmobiles. It's time to start another reading vlog. And this time we are doing wintry themed books. The winter here in Seattle been really lackluster. Normally, I love to spend a lot of time up in the mountains, snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and just like being around in the snow on the weekends. This year, the snow levels have been really low, so I haven't gotten to do like any of that. Although my husband did force me to go downhill skiing after I haven't gone since high school. And as a person who has like the opposite of a need for speed, results were mixed. I ended up with a lot of bruises because it was that icy. How am I already off track? My God, I haven't been able to talk to you guys in such a long time on a vlog, so I'm feeling a little extra chatty, I think. Let me introduce the books and then I'll get you catched up. Off to a great start. You're speaking so good. I'll get you guys caught up on why I haven't done a vlog, although maybe you guys didn't notice. I have no idea. Anyways, let's talk about the books. Okay, first up. Okay, freeze. I have to say something because as I'm editing, I'm realizing that it looks like I'm about to flash y'all at any second. And I promise you that's not going to happen because there is another shirt on underneath this orange cardigan. I swear. Although it does look like it gets dicey in a couple scenarios. So just wanted to say that so none of y'all are stressed while you're watching. Anyways, back to the video. Slashes in the Snow by M. Never. This is an edition that I got from my Blackout Romance Book Box subscription. I think this is supposed to be step sibling MC? Something along those lines. I think she might have a stalker. Excited about that one. I love Step Sibling. The next one has been on my DVR forever. I've been swearing up and down that I'm going to read it. From Lukov with Love. I know it's finally happening. This one, they are rivals and they get paired up to skate together. So it's like them training and competing together. So that's really exciting for that one. That one's by Mariana, Zapata, if I didn't say that already. The last one I added just for my sister. She also recently read this. Credence by Penelope Douglas. So this one, the heroine loses her parents, has to go live in the middle of nowhere, Colorado with her step uncle and step cousins who she's never met before. Sexy shenanigans are afoot. Those are my 3 books. I'm hoping that they will bring the wintry energy for me. Yeah, I haven't been able to vlog and just hang out with you guys in a couple of months. Funny enough, I did attempt to film a couple of different vlogs, but I have just been so drained the past couple of months. Some of it's been traveling and fun stuff. Like I went up and visited Nikki in December from Nikki and Bookland. And then in January, Landon came and stayed with me and we just did bookish stuff the whole weekend and just hung out. So there's been some fun things. There's also been just a lot of stress. Work has really gotten busy. Like for context, normally I only have, I would say like 2 to 3 major projects. And then there's like some minor ones. Right now have 7 major projects. So your girl's stressed. So that was definitely a component. There was also just a lot that happened. There was cancer diagnoses. There was in and around loved ones. We had like a leak with our dishwasher. So there was just like all sorts of stuff kind of going on. And then with the work stress on top of it, I've been so exhausted and I just haven't had the bandwidth as much as I've wanted to make a vlog for you guys. And then, you know, the reading moodiness just didn't really allow for it. So I'm excited to be back at vlogging again. It feels good to get started. But my current plan is to start out with Slashes in the Snow just because I know the least about this one. Probably update you tomorrow because it is a Friday and it's date night. I'm very excited. My husband and I are going to go to one of our favorite restaurants and then go grab some beer afterwards. So even though I don't think I'll be able to get to very much reading tonight, get you an update sometime tomorrow when I get a little ways in and know a little bit more about what Slashes in the Snow is about. But it feels so good to be vlogging again. I'm really excited. I finally got my mic all dialed into, so this has made this setup so much easier as well. Anyways, it just feels good to be back. But with that said, I do have to go get ready for date night, so I'm gonna go do that and get to some reading, and I will catch up with you on Saturday. See you soon. Hi there. So it is now Saturday. I'm 30% into Slashes in the Snow, so I thought I would give you a bit of an update and then also give you a lay of the land. And I'm realizing as I said that, I should have put it in the other order because that's the order you're gonna get that information in. You know, regardless, I guess you have that knowledge of what's going to be happening now. Anyways, also wanted to give you a quick heads up. I think the sun is kind of just playing peekaboo with me behind this cloud. It should stay the same lighting, but if it abruptly changes, I can't control the weather, Jackie.
Well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
I'm really sorry about that. I tried to position us so that we don't have that become an issue, but the lighting may change regardless because, you know, it's weather. But anyways, what is Slashes in the Snow about? We have our heroine Kira, and when the book opens, she is very fearful. So she thinks that someone is stalking her, but she can't really point to anything too definitive. She's noticing things out of place, lights being turned off when she remembers leaving them on, an alarm system that just doesn't seem to be working. So there's lots of little clues, but there's nothing super concrete. So because her mom and her stepdad are out of the country, she's in this big house by herself. So she turns to the only person that she can think of that can help her, her estranged stepbrother. And that is our hero, Kai. So Kai and Kira have never met before this because Kai felt really betrayed by his father when his father decided to marry Kira's mother. He ended up walking away from the MC, and also he felt like his dad picked this new family over the existing one that he had had. And so these two have never really met, but Kira thinks to turn to him because his dad still speaks very highly of him, so she believes that he will do the right thing. Now, initially when she approaches him, he's like, why would I help you? You are literally the person my dad betrayed me for, and is really annoyed by her request. He quickly ends up course correcting after being confronted by some of his fellow biker friends who are like, dude, she was scared. She's looking for help. You know what the right thing to do is. So that's how they end up living together and end up really doing everything together for the foreseeable future until Kira can finally graduate and join her mom and stepdad in Paris. Before we start on my thoughts, I just want us to take a look at this cover called Slashes in the Snow. You know, snow's in the title. We've got snowflakes here, here, and here. This book takes place in Southern California, famously known for not having snow. The winter vibes are non-existent in this book. Only reason that this is called Slashes in the Snow is because the hero's nickname for the heroine is Snow. I feel like whoever was like directing the cover artist like didn't read this book. 0 out of 10 for the winter vibes. So far my thoughts, overall pretty positive. I would say that I feel like the characters feel pretty balanced. The heroine is, you know, definitely has a little bit of that damsel in distress because she is very scared, but she does have a little bit of like playfulness to her and some sass. And so she feels like she's not leaning too far one direction or the other, which you can sometimes get with Mafia or with MC books. They tend to lean a little bit into one of those stereotypes typically. Hero, I think, also has a fair amount of balance as well. Sometimes with MC heroes, they can lean a little bit too far into the really crass and derogatory, but while he is crass and rough around the edges, he's generally well-meaning and does have also a little bit of playfulness to him as well. So I really like both of the characters. But what I'm not loving as much is the romance. They make sense together, but I just feel like it's moving a little bit too quick. Is that because this is just really short? Maybe this also picks up in the plot later on, so we're developing more of the relationship up front and then we get into some plot stuff. Maybe that's what happens, but right now it's just feeling like it's moving a little bit too quick, especially considering how much baggage we're coming into this relationship with. Kai has so much animosity towards Kira and her mom, and for that to melt away so quickly and it's turning into, I'm just so horny for you, but I don't want to admit it to myself, so I rub one out in the shower. It just feels a little bit unearned at this point. That makes it sound like he needs to earn whacking it. You know what? We're gonna move on from that. With the actual plot, I don't feel like there's like a lot to put together. The cast of characters is pretty small, so it's not like you can really guess as to who is coming after her. So hopefully we start getting a little bit of a bigger cast of characters or start digging into who could be stalking her a little bit more, because right now there's just no way to guess because there's just like not really any characters that we've met. That's where things are at for the moment. I don't know if I'll be able to update you later today or not. My husband and I are doing a little bit of housekeeping, literally, and like working out and getting everything together and done that we need to for this weekend today, because tomorrow is the Super Bowl and we want to be able to cheer on the Hawks and just have a good time with our friends tomorrow. So I don't really know how much more reading I'll get done. Fingers crossed I can at least update you one more time today. That's my goal. And then Sunday, I don't think I'll be able to at all, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, that's where things are at for the moment. I will see you soon. Well, I figured out why it's called Slashes in the Snow. So not only is her nickname Snow, his nickname is Slash. Can't stand corny shit like that. I don't like when I see that kind of thing with pen names for authors. I don't like it in titles. It's such a turn off to me. I'm having such a hard time getting over this. Anyway, also popping in, as I have a question for you guys. So the heroine considers herself a free diver, and essentially what she's doing is just getting in a bathtub or a pool and then just seeing how long she can hold her breath. I thought free diving was when you went scuba diving or snorkeling, like you go in the ocean and you're like looking around for stuff, but then you like hold your breath. And like some people do it when they're ear fishing, hunting or something. I don't know. Is the sport literally just holding your breath? I guess I could Google this, but I'm asking you guys. Do you know anything about free diving? Because I sure don't, and I've learned that in this book. I am going to continue reading, and I will update you for sure tomorrow on Sunday, because I'm burning through the rest of this book. So we are in my bathroom. It's the next day. It's Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Go Hawks. I'm getting ready for a Super Bowl party. I'm also running short on time because I went for a run and I went for longer than I was anticipating. So now we're having to double task. Double task? Multitask. That's the word. We're also testing out my new mic in this room, so let's hope that it does okay. So we're doing a lot today. I did end up finishing Slashes in the Snow kind of late last night, so I want to give you my final thoughts and feelings. My overall sense of the book is the same. Entertainment level, it was a 4. I think like on a storytelling level, it's a 3. So many things were underbaked. We'll kind of go point by point. So we'll start with the romance. So I had mentioned that kind of got built up pretty quickly. And I felt like it was a little bit rushed in the beginning considering the baggage. Well, the baggage comes back up and it leads to kind of this back and forth where they're almost all in, and then the hero is reminded of something that makes him angry. He lashes out at the heroine and then like grovels for like 4 seconds and then is back in her good graces. And she even at one point is like, hey, I need you to stop running out on me. If we're gonna be together, you actually have to stop doing that. I need to be able to be with a partner that trusts me and that I can trust in return. So it did get noted in there as well, but I just found it a little bit frustrating that we didn't do that before we were kind of getting together. I feel like that would have been a more natural progression. I don't know, maybe that's just me. So I was a little bit let down there, but overall, like I said, I do think that they are a good match. In terms of the plot, I do need to continue getting ready. Girl, you gotta actually multitask when you say you're gonna do it. When it comes to the plot, there was no way to really put it together. And maybe I should have known that because it was labeled, I think, more romantic suspense. I can't really say anything without spoiling stuff. It's more of a reveal, I guess, than it is someone in this cast of characters is responsible for what's going on. Hopefully that kind of makes sense without being spoilery. But yeah, I was a little bit let down by that because I prefer, suspense and thrillers where you can kind of like maybe start to put some things together. I wanted a little bit more of that, but that was a little bit of a letdown. And then it felt like things just went wham bam, wrapped up. And I just felt like it kind of ended up wrapping up a little bit quickly and like running into the epilogue. I think just because it's so short, it just feels like every element was a little bit underwhelming. It's not bad. Like I said, my enjoyment level is like a 4, but I feel like on a craft level, it's more of a 3. It's a little bit more average, even though I liked the romance, even though in general, I kind of liked the plot. I don't have major complaints. It's just kind of like everything was just like a little bit under where it could have been. And I just feel like give this like 50 more pages even, and it really could have been killer. Maybe that's not the right word to use when you're talking about a romantic suspense. I don't know what my final rating is going to be on that one. I need to sit on it. Right now, I'm leaning towards a 4 just because I enjoyed it, but I have been watching the Olympics this whole weekend. So I've decided From Lukov with Love absolutely has to be my next read. I was watching the team figure skaters. Figure skate? What am I talking about? What are these words? I was watching the teams competition for figure skating and I was just like, yeah, I want to read a book about that. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm only like 10% in, which with a Mariana Zapata truly is not that far. I've just barely gotten the setup. She loves to linger in a scene and really draw it out. So far, I like Jasmine's attitude. She's a little bit spunky. I was worried that we were going to get happy-go-lucky, sunshiny, but she's got like a little bit of bite to her, which I really am liking so far. But that's all I have for thoughts so far. I will update you, I think, probably on Monday. Yeah, I'm going to a Super Bowl. So I will see you on Monday. All right, hi friends. Good morning. It's Monday after the Super Bowl. Seahawks won. So it's been really fun. The city has been celebrating lots of fireworks last night, but now it's time to get back to reality. So I was coming to get some more coffee and I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update because I was able to get a decent way into From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. You know what? Let's put the coffee down. Let's hold up that book. Wouldn't that make more sense? So I can give you a little bit of a lay of the land and just some initial thoughts and feelings about it. This is about Jasmine, and she has been a professional skater for a number of years. She started out as a solo skater and then moved into pair skating, but recently her partner left her. So she's feeling a little bit confused as to where she wants to take her career. So there's a lot of people that are like, hey, you should retire. You should do some coaching now instead. And she's just not feeling quite done. She still feels like she's got a little something to give. And so she's having a hard time making that call. She's still doing some training, maybe not as rigorous as she normally would, while she kind of waits to figure out what she wants to do or find a partner. This is when Ivan approaches her because it turns out his partner is taking a year off. And he's like, I need someone to skate with in the meantime. It's not even him really proposing it. It's more of his management team. He's sort of begrudgingly there. They're like, hey, let's do this setup for a year. We can say that you met at the rink that you guys both practice at because they have a connection through Ivan's sister. That is Jasmine's best friend. So they're like, we can totally spin this in the media. We can make this look good because Jasmine does not have the best reputation because she's a little bit of a spitfire. She is like, I really want this because I want to win, but can I get along with Ivan long enough in order to actually pull this off? Because from the second they get in the same room or make eye contact, like these two are sniping at each other. They're making little sideways comments at one another. And like basically the reason that their rivalry started is because this is their dynamic. I have been loving this so far. It's like slipping into a warm bath. Mariana Zapata is just like not afraid to linger in a scene, explore the feelings, have those awkward moments. There's been a couple of books recently that I've read where it feels like the scenes are cycling too fast. Whatever the character was intending to do in that scene gets completely derailed by some interaction that they need to have or information that you need to get as a reader. It just has a very like frantic feel to it. And this is like the opposite. We're lingering, we're looking at it from all sides, getting more depth in each scene. And I'm just really liking that. I also really like that the reason that they're rivals or like don't get along is like one of those little misunderstandings, but they're both very stubborn. And from there, they've just always had that dynamic sniping back and forth. Because I feel like that feels very realistic for her personality, right? She's like very loyal. She is going to stand up for herself. Someone is kind of coming at her all the time. She's like, well, now we're enemies. That's how that works. I just feel like that has a realistic feel. I'm also really loving her family. They're just this big, goofy group. They have such a fun dynamic. There's clearly a lot of love there. So I'm really enjoying that as well. So far, I'm having a really good time. I'm having a hard time putting it down. I'm gonna work. Don't tell my boss. I can put this down, I guess. I have a bunch of monotonous tasks that I need to do, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe I'll get the audiobook and listen to the audiobook today. I don't know, I'm burning through this. I am going to get my butt to work and I will update you soon. See you soon. All right, hi Besticles. So I had a little bit of a lunch break. I'm burning through this bad boy From Lukov with Love. I think I'm like 60% in. I'm gonna be so for real with you. I didn't really look. I'm about midway through and I am just loving their dynamic. They bicker like an old couple where it has this underlying playfulness if they weren't so angry. And it's like the more they get to know each other, the more playful that banter gets, even though the banter itself hasn't changed how they feel about banter changes. It's just so fun. The heroine is just so tenacious, and in some moments you're just cheering her on. She's not giving up her dreams and she's continuing to try. And then other times you just want to throttle her because girl, let somebody help you, please. So it's kind of endearing and infuriating how much resilience and how tenacious she is when it comes to chasing her goal. We got a scene similar to one that is in Culty where he kind of meets the family. And I love those types of scenes. It gives the hero a glimpse into the heroine's world. And also, you kind of have this moment where they're having to act like a team when they haven't really been that to this point. They're not to that point in their relationship, but you get a glimpse of what their dynamic could be. You get a glimpse of how well she knows him because she's running interference with her family, figuring out what'll make him feel uncomfortable and trying to protect him from her family. He also gets to see a little bit of why she is the way she is, this like softer side of her, or just a different side of her than he's kind of seen in a more professional setting. We're also starting to get some like caretaking scenes, which I'm really enjoying, but it's a lot of him so far kind of showing up for her and helping her out in her time of need. And I'm hoping we'll get some of the reverse. There's also little threads of different things that I'm curious to see how they develop, or even if they come back around, because there's been like this whole kind of pretend to be almost dating with the media because they're trying to help out Jasmine's image because she doesn't have the best reputation. And then there's also some issues with her social media that are kind of coming up. So I'm curious to see where those end up going. I will warn you, there are some comments about the heroine's weight that aren't exactly flattering, both past and present, but nothing where it feels like it's kind of getting into unhealthy territory. But if you're sensitive to that, just like heads up, that is in there. But I'm devouring this. I'm loving every second of it. And I've had some of the replays from the ice skating team event, and I've had fun watching them, just like thinking about like, oh, what if this was their background? So it's just made for a really fun, immersive experience. I think I nailed the timing of this reading it during the Olympics. But anyways, so when I come back to you, I'm probably going to come back with my final thoughts and feelings, and we can move on to the last book, which is Credence. And that is certainly a wild card in the mix, is it not? Wow, I just looked at myself in the monitor and I'm realizing the work from home aesthetic is so strong with me today. My God. Anyways, I do have to get back to work. I will see you all soon. Okay, I've tried to film this a couple of times, and one of the times my big old nasty bruise on my knee was in the shot. The other time he popped up and blocked my face and caused the focus to go all crazy, so he's got his little dumb head popped up for the moment. This is Kevin, by the way, if this is your first video here. Oh, this would be a strange one to click on for your first, but nonetheless, grateful to have you. But anyways, Kevin is here with us. He is cone-free and loving it. I don't remember if I've updated you guys on how he's been doing with his allergies. So he's had issues with allergies on and off for over a year now, and the most recent manifestation has been him ripping out large chunks of his fur and bleeding. Yes, that was not good, was it? Thank you, that was a good sniff. So we had to put a cone on him until we could get him into a cat dermatologist. Yeah. That's a thing that I'm currently paying for right now. So he finally got in after waiting for months, and we're doing some testing and we're trying a few things out, like removing everything scented from the house, which has been very painful for me because goddamn do I love a scented candle. I love scented body lotion, perfume, you name it. I love a scent. I love a scent. So that's been a little bit rough. Anything for the baby to be cone-free and comfortable. Anyways, did I tell you what day it is? Probably not. It's now Wednesday. I think it's been a couple days. I don't think I updated you on Tuesday. Tuesday ended up being a little bit of a rough day. All I gotta say about that is fuck insurance. They can sit on a rusty broom pole. And also work just got busy. It's been busy. We're kind of in the lead up to conference season right now. So my work is just like super overloaded at the moment, but we're here. I finished From Lukov with Love, I think, was it on Monday or Tuesday? It doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, I have finished it, and I loved it the whole way through. I loved it. The highs felt so high, the lows felt so low, because you just saw all the hard work that went into their training and how much they were fighting for what they wanted, especially with the heroine, because she had just never had that win. The romance was so yummy. It went from being this rivals and just had this perfect slow slide into friendship and then into something more, which I just thought was perfect. There were a couple things that I flagged in my last clip that I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this, or maybe these will get resolved or explored more. One of them was that I felt like the hero was showing up a lot for the heroine, but I didn't feel like the heroine was having the same types of opportunities, or at least on page wasn't being shown to show up in that same way, in those big grand gestures. She does get a moment like that, but it ends up being in the epilogue. So it's clear that there's balance to the relationship. It's just maybe not in those early days. So I'll allow it, Your Honor. It didn't really bother me that much. The other two things that I had mentioned were that there were some things going on with her social media, and then also, what was the other thing? Social media and... oh, there was some things going on with her social media. There was like a request for them to kind of like pretend to fake date a little bit. That never really turned into anything. And not that it's a big deal. This was really focused on them skating and them as partners and them becoming something more. So I didn't really mind that that didn't really come back up. But here's the thing. This is one of the shorter Mariana Zapatas. I compared it to my copy of The Wall of Winnipeg and Colty, and I have the indie editions for those as well. And this one is shorter than those bad boys. So I feel like this could have been even longer and explored those things. But that's just me selfishly wanting more time with these guys. I keep waking up in the morning and thinking I have more book to go, and I don't. And it's very upsetting. Where does this rank with other Marianas? For context, my two favorites are probably Wall of Winnipeg and All Roads Lead Here. I think I like even better. And I think this is going to go between those two. So this is probably like my second favorite. So if it doesn't make it clear, this is a 5-star. I absolutely adored this. I think in terms of like wintry vibes, it's like we've got some flurries going on. We've got the cold ice skating rink. We've got the Olympics energy. So it's definitely there. Honestly, if you haven't read this, now's the time. Now's the time. All right, let's stop talking about that one because I did move on to Credence. I haven't had a chance to make it a ton of way through this just yet, but I have gotten past the setup. So Credence by Penelope Douglas. This one I wanted to read because not only because I had been told it had wintry vibes, but also because my sister read this very recently. And so I was like, want to be able to talk about it with her. She literally actually texted me about my TBR video saying that the only reason she was watching was to see if Credence was on there. So here you go, girl. We're getting an in-depth review. Probably already texted you about that. So why am I just talking to my sister right now? Okay, anyways, the premise for this one is that we have our heroine Tiernan. She is just about to turn 18. She's a few months off when her parents, who are these Hollywood elites, they end up ending their own lives. So one of them was terminally ill and the other one ended their life with that person because they loved each other so much. And Tiernan always felt like an accessory to their lives. They had a kid because it contributed to their image and not because they actually wanted to raise a child. So she's kind of grown up, isolated, very much used to everyone controlling a lot about her life. And so she hasn't really had a chance to explore who she is because so much of her life is staying out of the way of her parents and kind of propping up their image. She now finds herself without anybody. And in her parents' will, she is supposed to go stay with her dad's stepbrother. So they're not related by blood. This is her step uncle. She's never met him before. And then he has two sons who are her step cousins that also live with him. And he's like, look, it's a completely different life than what you've led. It's hard work out here. We kind of half live off the land, half kind of make their money doing some like motocross bike repair stuff. And they're very isolated. They're out on this mountain that once it snows, like they are there for the winter. So if she decides that she wants to go stay with them, she's going to be stuck there. She can't change her mind. She decides that this is her best option and she just wants to kind of change things up. So this has really been an interesting read for me so far. I like how the heroine appears so differently to the people around her, mostly because there's been so many people that have had input into what she looks like, how she's allowed to act. She appears high maintenance and rude, and really she's just extremely quiet. She's not used to really expressing much of herself and just trying to be who her parents expected her to be. During the grieving process is like having to reckon with that she's not really in touch with herself and her emotions. Like, yes, she's sad, but she's not crying over their deaths. And she's really feeling confused as to why she can't just react how other people react. And is there something wrong with her because she's not crying? I've had this experience when a loved one has passed where I didn't cry, and I spent a whole lot more time processing the fact that I wasn't crying for this person than I did the actual like engaged with the actual grieving process, so I could relate to that a lot. And in general, she just doesn't respond in ways emotionally how people expect her to or believe she should, which I can relate to that a lot. I don't know, I'm surprised how emotional this is so far, just because I feel like so much of what I hear about this is like, oh, it's so spicy, and I'm sure we'll get there. And there's already been kind of some precedent set for that. You definitely can feel that she's got attraction to all three of the men in the house. But you know what's funny is already I feel like I know who Endgame is, mostly because I'm noticing that she wants things out of life, and personality-wise is a lot more like one of these guys than the rest of them. It seems like the other two, yes, she's attracted to them, but it feels more like they're there and she likes that someone's paying attention to her for once. So I'm gonna see if I can get about 50% into this and then I'll update you again. I'm thinking I'll probably do that later today. This is another one that I have the audiobook for, so I've been kind of switching back and forth between reading physically and audio, so it's made it go a little bit faster. But anyways, that's my update for now. I gotta get going to a work meeting, so I will chat with you all soon. All right, y'all, it's later the same day. Oh, God damn it, my knees are always in this shot. I've been listening to Credence while I do some more Mariana's work. I just have to say this. There have been two things that have really made this book feel so dated. The first one came out earlier, and it was like a quippy saying on a shirt, and it was something stupid like, the difference between you and pizzas, I want pizza, or I ordered pizza. I don't even remember because I immediately rolled my eyes. Why does this feel so like 2010s Hot Topic Happy Bunny coded? Like, anytime I see that in a book, I'm like, oh, that feels dated. That's not as cute as you think it is. Anyway, so that came up earlier. And then just now, are you guys ready for this one? Y'all ready for this?
Y'all ready for this?
The heroine uses the word metro, as in metrosexual. When is the last time y'all heard that word? That is a straight up 2000s word. What is that doing in a book that was originally published in 2020 and then republished like what? Just like I swear like a year ago. Isn't this latest version from 2024? Well, I guess that's 2 years ago now. It just feels so dated. Anyways, I'm gonna continue on. I'll update you like with a real update in a bit. I'm like almost halfway done right now. All right, hi. So I was just about ready to get cozy and I realized I never gave you my midway updates. We were back in my echoey bathroom to do that because it's the only place that's got light right now because it's late in the day. But Kevin is like right down here once again. So his little dumb head might pop in. You might see some little ears popping up. So if that happens, I mean, I guess we'll just roll with it. But anyways, midway thoughts on Credence. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more than I think I thought I was going to. That feels redundant. I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. A lot of what I've read recently from Penelope Douglas has been mid to me, but I did like more of their stuff like earlier on when I was like first starting to get into dark romance. So I wasn't sure where this was gonna land, and the way people have talked about it, it's always been this very salacious, forbidden, so taboo, very spicy. I'm feeling a little bit perplexed by that. Like, are there some spicy, horny moments that are happening? Our heroines definitely like wanted to get with the men folk. And yes, they are technically related by marriage. I don't know. Maybe I've just read a lot of dark romance, but because they're not blood related in any capacity. They've had no prior relationship, so I don't really find the family aspect like super taboo. But yeah, like the majority of the beginning of this has been pretty emotional. It's been a lot of her grieving, figuring out who she is without her parents to control her image and who she wants to be in the future and kind of grieving her former self. Bottom line, I'm feeling a little bit misled with how this book has been talked about so far. Now, that could change, right? They're just about ready to get snowed in for the winter. We could take a hard turn into Pound Town. But I feel like in a lot of people's reviews, I just haven't been hearing about the more emotional component of this book, which is like 50% of the book. So, I don't know. I even texted my sister and I was like, so when does the spice kick in? She's like, that is a great question. She also pointed out a plot hole that I'm not gonna talk about just yet because I want to see if it gets fixed. Otherwise, now I'm like, well, that kind of ruined the plot of the book. I'm gonna keep reading on this. I will catch up with you tomorrow once I am a little bit more rested and refreshed. See you soon. Good morning, folks. It is now Thursday, and apparently it's dressed like your couch day. I am here to give you another brief update on Credence. I've made it farther in. All right, fortifying sip of coffee. Let's hold up that book. Okay, so things escalated very quickly. We took a hard left into Spiceville right after I updated you. It was well foreshadowed, but I feel like the most taboo scene that we've really got, well, there's one other one. The most taboo scene I feel like we've gotten has been right up front. So it feels like such a hard pivot. And then now where I'm at, it kind of feels like she's shifting to just focus on one of them. And it's the one that I suspected the whole time. And I do think that out of the three of the guys, he makes the most sense for her personality wise and also the things that they like. However, I'm gonna need this guy to put in some more work at this point because it feels like all the dudes are just kind of putting in the bare minimum, and I'm gonna need something that like elevates him. I need a gesture. I need something that makes it clear how much he's invested in it, because right now it feels like the heroine's a lot more invested. And you know, there's a lot of fish in the sea. She doesn't have to just pick from those on the mountain. So I need something that convinces me that he's the best pick for her out of everybody, not just the guys on the mountain. But I'm gonna finish this. I can already tell that today's gonna be a really busy day with work. So I think I'm gonna give you my final update on Friday, and then we will wrap this whole bad boy up. So I will see you tomorrow. All right, it's Friday and it is time to wrap up this vlog finally, because I have now finished Credence. I'm also joined by Kevin, who is just out of frame once more, and he is really licking a lot. So if I just get distracted, it's not my fault. Anyway. Credence. Final thoughts and feelings. I don't know how to feel about this book. I mean, I kind of do and I kind of don't. The first 50% I was enjoying so much. I liked that grieving process. I liked the heroine exploring who she is and figuring out what she wants out of life. But the second half, I just didn't nearly like as much. We had about a quarter of the book where we're exploring things with all the men, and then just a quarter of the book where we're really honing in and like, this is the guy that we're gonna end up with. And I just didn't feel like I got enough on-page time with them to really feel like, yes, these two really belong together long-term. Like, yes, they had a lot in common, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be together. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually compatible in a romance. So I just wish we had gotten more on-page time with them and feeling a little bit more settled, because without the epilogue, I don't know that I would have really bought that these two were gonna stay together long term, because there was still so much we hadn't really looked at, especially with the heroine talking about going to college. Where does she ultimately want to live? Does the hero also want to live there? There was lots of questions that I feel like got left unanswered with the actual core of the book. And then it was like the epilogue kind of answers that by just showing us some snippets. And I was like, you know, I would have liked more on-page time with the two of them and them really going through the tough stuff. Now that said, I also really get why people would love this book, especially if you are like earlier on in reading darker themed or more taboo romances. I can understand why this would be so appealing, because it was incredibly propulsive. I didn't want to put this down at any point. There was always something going on. Angst, tension, action. There was something propelling you forward to continue reading, and the kind of will they, won't they was very engaging, especially if you were reading this back in 2020. This would have been such a fresh story. I think for me, reading this in 2026, I think I've read books that have a lot of these components, but have done it in a way that I've liked the romance more. And so I think for that reason, it just didn't really hit as hard for me. I don't know. Ultimately, this ends up being something that, despite the plot hole, which we'll get to in a second, I think this is in general a well-executed book. So I feel like the execution of this book is a 4-star, but my personal enjoyment is more of a 3-star. So kind of the opposite of what happened with Slashes in the Snow. Now about that plot hole. My sister pointed this out and I can't unsee see it. One word, snowmobiles. They can't get snowed in on that mountain. There is a road and they are not that far from town. It may not be plowed, so they can't get there to and fro by truck. However, these dudes love machines. These dudes definitely have snowmobiles, and they definitely would have ridden them to town. Yes, it probably wouldn't be that often. Yes, it would probably take a longer time, but they could definitely go in and grab a drink every once in a while. They could definitely go in and grab some produce. You just take that snowmobile right on down that same road that isn't plowed. I know that men will do this because I grew up in Minnesota and I've watched these dingbats drive them to school when they don't have a license. So I know they'll do it. Any excuse to be on a machine. But anyways, I just thought that was kind of funny. When she pointed that out, I was like, oh my God, you're completely right. There's no way these guys would truly be cut off from society in the way that the book makes it seem. But anyways, that is kind of my final thoughts on Credence. Overall, I feel like this vlog went pretty well because I definitely enjoyed everything that I read. Now, were my reads the most wintry? Not really. Slashes in the Snow straight up took place in sunny California. The most wintry atmosphere definitely came from Credence because there was a whole like winter season where they were snowed in. So that one definitely had the best like wintry atmosphere, certainly. I don't know if these books exactly brought the level of wintry atmosphere that I was hoping for to kind of remedy this warm winter that we've been having here in Seattle. That's all I've got for you folks. I would love to hear from you if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. Did you feel similarly, differently? Are there books that you think really have a good wintry atmosphere or wintry energy that you think I should try and pick up before the winter season here in Seattle is done and we're rolling into spring? I'd love to know that as well. And with all of that, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like this video if you did in fact like it at any point, and don't forget to subscribe. Both these activities are entirely painless and really help me out. So I'd love to have you back for another video, and I really hope I see you on my next video. Bye-bye.